Hey there, Cosmic Warriors, and welcome back to another video. Okay, so in today's video, we're going to be talking about the sudden love changes coming to you during this Venus-Mars conjunction in the sign of Aquarius. I hope you're looking forward to it. I do have a lot of interesting information to share, but before I do dive into this video, I just want to take a moment to say thank you so much for your kindness and well wishes in my previous video, so in the full moon and Leo video. In that video, I was really quite poorly. You could probably tell from my voice in that video, but gladly, thankfully, I am feeling a lot better. But again, I just want to say a big thank you to all of you for wishing me a speedy recovery and just being so kind. Okay, so with all of that being said, let's do this. Okay, so first and foremost, just to go over the technicalities, both Venus and Mars will enter Aquarius on the 6th of March, and they will conjunct throughout the rest of the month. But Venus will square Uranus on March 19th at 12 degrees, and Mars will square Uranus on March 22nd at 12 degrees as well. Now, on March 28th, both Venus and Saturn will conjunct exactly at 21 degrees, and come April 4th and April 5th, both Mars and Saturn will conjunct exactly at 22 degrees. Then by the 5th of April, Venus will move into Pisces. And so just to clarify today, okay, this astrology forecast is from the 6th of March 2022 until the 5th of April 2022. So that's about an entire month. And the thing about this as well, which is quite exciting, is that all planets will be direct during this period. So basically, there's going to be a lot of forward movement. All right, so let's get into your sign, which, by the way, watch for your sun, moon, and rising. Okay, so Aries, sun, moon, and risings. The Venus and Mars conjunction in Aquarius will transit your 11th house. So from March 6th, you might suddenly think about new ideas when it comes to your hopes and your wishes for the future. Maybe you decide to change your direction in the name of freedom and liberation. Or perhaps your plans change due to a light bulb self-worth moment. Or perhaps you rebel against an organization because you have other goals that you would like to pursue. Maybe there are things happening within the group that you no longer agree with, and so you head off in a different direction. Could be that you decide to put yourself first. On the other hand, though, perhaps you join up with new allies, with a new team. Or maybe you receive resources or money from groups and organizations that you're a part of. Perhaps March is the month you and your company receive financial gains, or you and your movement, so the movement that you're a part of, you receive some type of recognition. Other organizations and communities, they help you out due to their goodwill and kindness. Then again, it could be that you receive some type of goodwill or kindness from your friends. However, as Venus and Mars square Uranus in your second house between March 19th and March 22nd, perhaps you experience a rocky patch. Existing financial structures, they suddenly break, yet it's the blow-ups that can lead to you evolving. They force you to change. They force you to do something differently. Then again, perhaps out of the blue, you decide to relocate or change things up within your job. Perhaps you make major financial or security breakthroughs, or maybe you explore financial alternatives which clash with your existing future plans. Perhaps on March 28th, during the Venus-Saturn conjunction, you feel somewhat limited when it comes to your future plans and dreams, but you're willing to keep building, okay? Perhaps it's about thinking outside of the box, trying something you haven't done before, possibly with the help of your allies and with the help of group members. And come April 4th and 5th, during the Mars-Saturn conjunction, you sit with the action plan. You think it over and you explore alternatives. This might feel uncomfortable for you because you might want to jump forward instantly, but perhaps March and the beginning of April are teaching you a thing or two about patience. You're not going to achieve your dreams overnight, Aries. Though having said that, I know that you have a ton of willpower and you know how to motivate yourself. Taurus, Sun, Moon and Risings. So the Venus and Mars conjunction in Aquarius will transit your 10th house. So from March 6th, you might consider new ideas when it comes to your career, when it comes to your profession. So looking at the type of profession you would like to obtain someday, for example, or looking at where you currently are within your profession. Is there something you would like to change? Would you like to evolve? Do you want to break free in some way? Perhaps there is something you would like to invent or create, or maybe you want to do something innovative and enterprising, and so you rebel against a current professional position. You want to make a difference in the world. Perhaps you receive recognition for your efforts, or you feel seen by your team, or perhaps it's that you feel seen by members of authority, or maybe you join up with a new group. You start to network. You gain fresh insights from different people, and perhaps March is the month you receive financial gains from the public. The goodwill and kindness of the public help you. However, as Venus and Mars square Uranus in your first house between March 19th and March 22nd, perhaps you experience an existential crisis. Maybe you question what you've even been doing with your life, or you question the direction of your life. Perhaps existing identity structures, they break, or maybe you make identity breakthroughs, or maybe you do something pretty out there when it comes to your life path. Perhaps out of the blue, you decide to change your appearance, or maybe your approach to life changes. Your perspective also changes. Maybe you explore outlook alternatives which clash with your existing career plans. Perhaps on March 28th, during the Venus-Saturn conjunction, you can see all the setbacks and the obstacles in your way, but you're willing to wait things out. You're willing to work hard and keep persevering, but at the same time, you consider different approaches. You realize how you must pivot and think outside of the box. Maybe professionals can give you a hand with this. They can help you see things differently. And come April 4th and 5th, during the Mars-Saturn conjunction, you run through the long-term plan. You consider what options are available to you. Now, you might stubbornly insist that your way of doing things is best. You can be resistant to change, Taurus. But when you see the rewards ahead, you're willing to move. Gemini, Sun, Moon and Risings. So the Venus and Mars conjunction in Aquarius will transit your 9th house. So from March 6th, you might suddenly decide to take a trip abroad somewhere. Or maybe you take on a higher educational course. Perhaps you gain fresh insights from professors and teachers and mentors. Maybe education and travel, they are mixed in some way. Or perhaps you seek to change things when it comes to your higher education. You're open to exploring alternatives and new ideas. Then again, it could be that you evolve and reinvent yourself when it comes to your belief system. You explore alternatives such as exploring a different religion or a different philosophical view. Or maybe people from across the globe, they want to give to you. Though on the other hand, perhaps you receive materials and money due to your morals, Or perhaps March is the month that you receive financial gains for your publications and for your teachings. If you've been working on publishing a website, for example, or a book, for example, you receive recognition. The goodwill and kindness of promoters and advertisers help you. However, as Venus and Mars square Uranus in your 12th house between March 19th and March 22nd, perhaps you feel shaken up behind the scenes. Maybe you start freaking out because you feel overwhelmed by changes that are breaking existing security structures for you. Maybe you take some time to yourself to just collect yourself, to sit with yourself, to go inward. And as you do so, you have all of these breakthroughs. Or perhaps you have breakthroughs when it comes to retreating. Or out of the blue, you decide to change how you spend time alone. Maybe you explore spiritual life alternatives which clash with your existing travel or teaching plans. Perhaps on March 28th, during the Venus-Saturn conjunction, you realize what you have built over a long period of time when it comes to your belief system or belief systems. You can see how your beliefs can limit you, but also how they can anchor you, how they can ground you, how they can support you. Yet, you also consider viewing things differently. Maybe teachers or mentors, they can give you some guidance, or maybe you look to teachings of people that you respect and trust. And come April 4th and 5th, during the Mars-Saturn conjunction, you piece together what the action plan is, how you aim to get from A to B. Now, the thing about you is that you are already pretty open-minded and you're willing to try new things. Though the question is, can you focus your attention and energy long enough to see things through, Gemini? Cancer, Sun, Moon, and risings. So the Venus and Mars conjunction in Aquarius will transit your 8th house. So from March 6th, unexpectedly, you might decide to approach vulnerability differently. Perhaps you reach out to a friend or a spouse to share how you're feeling, for example. You might feel quite strange and awkward about doing this, but perhaps you make the effort to try. Or maybe you receive insights from a professional, from someone who can help you view vulnerability differently. They can provide you with much insight. Perhaps you're open to receiving these insights because there is something you would like to change. Then again, it could be that you reinvent yourself when it comes to intimacy or when it comes to sexuality. Maybe you explore alternatives with your partner, or you explore other options alone, okay? And just in case you don't have a partner, okay? This could be a situation where you're doing this solo. Perhaps suddenly you rebel against outdated ways of bonding, and so you seek a new way. Or maybe you unexpectedly receive money and materials via an inheritance or via taxes. Maybe you receive some type of compensation. Perhaps March is the month you receive financial gains from your partner or from your close loved ones, or maybe they show their appreciation towards you. Perhaps the goodwill and kindness from these people really shows this month, okay? These things really shine through this month. Or maybe it's that you feel appreciated sexually. However, as Venus and Mars square Uranus in your 11th house, between March 19th and March 22nd, perhaps you run into a blow up with friends, or maybe you don't relate the same way that you used to with other people within certain groups. Perhaps you are searching for a new tribe or a new community or a new way to relate with like-minded people. You are searching for like-minded people overall. Perhaps out of the blue, you change clubs or groups, or you join a new movement, or quite possibly you and your current club, you make major breakthroughs. You and your friendship circle, you make major breakthroughs. Maybe you explore alliance alternatives, which clash with your existing joint financial plans. Perhaps on March 28th, during the Venus-Saturn conjunction, you can see what limits you when it comes to emotional bonding and vulnerability. And you can also see what work needs to be done when it comes to those joint resources of yours. It can feel like an uphill battle to see to these things, to attend to these things. But by being open to change, you can do it. By thinking outside of the box, and by also seeking support from others, you can do it. Maybe your partner can help you, or perhaps a therapist possibly can, okay? And come April 4th and 5th, during the Mars-Saturn conjunction, you start to see the structure of your plans, how things are laid out and organized. Though with that being said, you do have the tendency of climbing up when things become too much, Cancer. So, on that note, one step at a time, and don't be afraid to ask for support from your loved ones. Still, however, you are quite tenacious people. Leo, Sun, Moon and Risings. So the Venus and Mars conjunction in Aquarius will transit your 7th house. So from March 6th, you might explore alternatives when it comes to your one-on-one relationships. You'll seek to do things differently. And if you're in a relationship, you might look to your partner for support. You'll want them to be by your side, or maybe you need some time to yourself. You need some space to think things through, to breathe. And if you're not in a relationship, perhaps this is about exploring alternatives solo, or quite possibly with the help of your friends, with the help of your allies. Maybe you think outside the box when it comes to your relationships overall. Perhaps you reinvent yourself and you rebel against the old you. You want to approach relationships in a new way. So looking at how you start your relationships, for example, maybe you would like to change something there. Likewise, looking at how you end them. Maybe you don't want to repeat the same patterns anymore. And you're willing to receive insight from others. Perhaps you receive recognition and appreciation from others. Perhaps March is the month you receive financial gains from your spouse or from a close friend. Or maybe the goodwill and kindness from your clients and your customers truly shows this month. However, as Venus and Mars square Uranus in your 10th house between March 19th and March 22nd, maybe you feel shaken up within your professional role, or maybe unexpected changes happen, causing you to feel uneasy. Maybe a particular manager decides to change things, meaning you gotta readjust yourself, or maybe you experience breakthroughs amongst the public. Maybe you explore career path alternatives or public image alternatives which clash with your existing relationship plans. Perhaps on March 28th, during the Venus-Saturn conjunction, you consider what structures have been built within your relationships, looking at the foundation of them. But you also consider what the long-term plans are. So what your long-term plans are when it comes to relationships. Perhaps you have some ambitions in mind, but you can also see where you are blocked, okay? Therefore, it's about thinking outside of the box. Maybe other people can act as your mirror. They can help you view things from a different angle. And come April 4th and 5th, during the Mars-Saturn conjunction, you have a clearer plan of action. You see what steps you gotta take. Maybe you are willing to persevere when it comes to your relationship plans. And seeing as this is you, Leo, well, when you want something bad enough, you can be very determined and you can also be very energetic. Having said that though, your heart needs to be in it. Virgo, Sun, Moon and Risings. So the Venus and Mars conjunction in Aquarius will transit your 6th house. So for March 6th, unexpectedly, you might decide to switch up your day-to-day life. You might explore alternatives and do things differently, especially if you've been struggling with your health or with the workload at the moment. You'll want to change something in order to make things more efficient, in order to improve upon things, to make them better. You are searching for healthier options. Likewise, you're probably going to consider your stress levels and your productivity during this time. Maybe you decide to reinvent yourself when it comes to these things, and you'll seek to approach your health and daily routines differently. You might even decide to change your diet or your fitness regime. You know, with myself, I do have a Virgo rising, and as I said at the beginning, I was quite sick recently. But after coming out of this, I really want to switch up my fitness levels. I want to make more time for fitness, and overall I want to get healthier. But I want to do it differently in comparison to what I've done in the past. My aim is longevity over intensity. Perhaps as a Virgo, you can relate in some way. Though another possibility is maybe you explore alternatives when it comes to your job, when it comes to your co-worker relationships. Maybe you would like to change something there. Perhaps you receive recognition from your colleagues or from your employer even. Maybe March is the month you receive financial gains from these people, or perhaps you receive help from trainers or from practitioners. Perhaps you receive goodwill and kindness also for your services. However, as Venus and Mars square Uranus in your 9th house between March 19th and March 22nd, perhaps your belief systems, they are suddenly shaken up, okay? There's something unsettling about your beliefs, or maybe a certain teaching or publication, it suddenly crashes, or perhaps things are disrupted, okay? Maybe you experience breakthroughs when it comes to broadcasting as another possibility, or maybe you explore promotion alternatives which clash with your existing daily working life plans. Perhaps on March 28th, during the Venus-Saturn conjunction, you feel limited at work, or you feel stagnant when it comes to fitness and diet and so on. Perhaps you realize how difficult it can actually be to change things, but you're still willing to go for it. You know that something must change anyway, and so you start thinking outside of the box. Maybe health mentors, they help you, or maybe you receive some type of help from your co-workers. But then come April 4th and 5th, during the Mars-Saturn conjunction, you see what building blocks are to be put in place if you are to succeed. You realize that patience and self-reliance are required on your part, Virgo, which is fine because you are typically such self-reliant people. You quite like having a schedule to follow, but at the same time, you do like to switch things up and you can get distracted. Libra, Sun, Moon and risings. So the Venus and Mars conjunction in Aquarius will transit your 5th house. So from March 6th, you might find that your creative projects, they change. Perhaps the way you approach your creative projects changes. You are searching after something exciting and new, okay? Basically, you decide to do something differently. Then again, perhaps you reinvent yourself when it comes to your hobbies or when it comes to your spare time, or perhaps you tap into your inner child during this time. Perhaps you get super creative just for the fun of it, Or maybe you challenge your inner child, or quite possibly you explore alternatives when it comes to your romantic life, when it comes to any children also that you have. Perhaps you want to experience joy and happiness in a different, new way. Or maybe you put these things into perspective. Perhaps it's that you gain fresh insights when it comes to these things, or you gain fresh insights from others when it comes to playfulness. Perhaps also you receive recognition for your creativity, or for your parenting, or for your sports participations even. Or maybe you receive recognition and appreciation from your romantic partner. Then again, maybe it's that March is the month that you receive financial gains from gambling or from taking risks. Perhaps you receive goodwill and kindness for your creations. However, as Venus and Mars square Uranus in your 8th house between March 19th and March 22nd, perhaps you experience unexpected changes when it comes to vulnerability and opening up. But it's these things that shake you to your very core. Maybe your emotions, they are stirred, which can feel quite uncomfortable, but at the same time, you make breakthroughs. Or maybe shared resources, they are disrupted. Maybe you explore vulnerability alternatives which clash with your existing romantic life plans. Perhaps on March 28th, during the Venus-Saturn conjunction, you see where you feel limited romantically, also where you feel limited sexually, but likewise, where you feel limited in a creative way. Maybe you identify blockages associated with your inner child, you investigate blockages associated with adventure and fun. You can see what changes you would like to make, but you can also see the long road ahead. Perhaps your romantic partner, they can help you, or maybe your children can, or perhaps it's about addressing your self-love. And come April 4th and 5th, during the Mars-Saturn conjunction, you know what you must do in order to succeed. You're aware of the work and effort required on your part. You are aware of your responsibilities. But at the same time, you know that this process, it's not so black and white, and you're on your own journey. Now, as a Libra, you do prefer to weigh things out, and so you won't feel a need to rush ahead, which is good. On the other hand, you can have the tendency of sitting on the fence, leading to inaction. Scorpio, Sun, Moon, and risings. So the Venus and Mars conjunction in Aquarius will transit your 4th house. So for March 6th, sudden changes may occur within your family life, within your living situation. Maybe you feel a need to change location, or perhaps you visit your loved ones unexpectedly, or perhaps you wish to change things up within your home, or you want to change of scenery, or maybe you start looking towards the future when it comes to your home. You look at your hopes and your wishes. Perhaps you rebel against old ways of doing things, or maybe you want to feel a greater sense of security after moving around so often. Then again, perhaps you reinvent yourself when it comes to parenthood. Old ideas you once had are no longer a part of the norm. Perhaps you have an unexpected change of heart, or maybe you wish to explore alternatives when it comes to property, when it comes to residency. You are seeking after something different, or quite possibly it's that you receive new insights from loved ones, and so your perspective changes. Perhaps you receive recognition from your family, or maybe someone gives you a heartfelt compliment. They show their appreciation towards you. Maybe March is the month you receive financial gains from family members even, or you receive a financial gain associated with property. Perhaps you receive goodwill and kindness from your close relatives. However, as Venus and Mars square Uranus in your 7th house between March 19th and March 22nd, maybe your one-on-one relationships, they are shaken up due to unexpected events. Maybe you and your partner, you make breakthroughs, or you explore alternatives together, or maybe things break apart. There are blow-ups, there are disruptions taking place. Or perhaps during this time, you need some time to yourself. Or maybe you experience disruptions with clients or with your enemies. Maybe you explore negotiation alternatives which clash with your living situation plans. Perhaps on March 28th, during the Venus-Saturn conjunction, you know of your responsibilities at home. You know what efforts are to be made on your behalf. You also consider where you feel limited or blocked at home. Or maybe you consider how you feel restricted when it comes to your loved ones, when it comes to your significant other. But you also recognize that to change, you must think outside of the box. Perhaps your family can support you, or perhaps you can figure out a way to support yourself. Now, come April 4th and 5th, during the Mars-Saturn conjunction, you put a plan of action in place. You lay things out practically, and you focus on the things you would like to build. Now, the good thing is that you are very focused, Scorpio. You are fiercely driven. The only thing I want to say is just to be aware of your impatience. You can be short-tempered. Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising. So the Venus and Mars conjunction in Aquarius will transit your 3rd house. So from March 6th, you might find that how you communicate changes. You might word things differently, you might say things differently, or you might decide to take on a new study course which teaches you all about effective communication skills, for example. Or maybe it's that your mindset, that changes out of the blue. You reframe the way you think of things. The way you perceive things changes. And so in this respect, you reinvent your mind. Maybe you just feel ready to explore alternatives when it comes to these things. Perhaps you're sick of mental loops or overthinking, or maybe you feel ready to change your mindset because it's much better for your mental health. Or maybe you reach out to friends or relatives for some advice. They provide you with new insights and fresh perspectives. Then again, maybe you decide to educate yourself on something new just out of sheer curiosity. You need something to stimulate your mind. You want to gain more information which you can share with others as well. Perhaps you receive recognition from your peers or from your classmates. Maybe March is the month you receive financial gains for a new vehicle. Then again, perhaps you receive financial gains associated with education. Perhaps you receive goodwill and kindness from your siblings or from your neighbors. However, as Venus and Mars square Uranus in your 6th house between March 19th and March 22nd, you might experience breakthroughs when it comes to your health and your well-being. Perhaps you seek health-related alternatives. On the other hand, it could be that you experience health-related blow-ups. Could be something associated with your diet or with your fitness levels or with your stress levels. Or perhaps you experience disruptions when it comes to employment. Maybe you explore work alternatives which clash with your transportation plans. Maybe on March 28th, during the Venus-Saturn conjunction, you realize what story or narrative you have told yourself over a long period of time, and you can identify where you are limited mentally, how you feel blocked. And so perhaps the key to change is thinking outside of the box, but at the same time, being consistent and being steady, putting in the effort. Maybe teachers can help you, or maybe your schoolmates or your childhood friends can help you. And come April 4th and 5th, during the Mars-Saturn conjunction, you see what actions are required on your behalf. You have the vision in mind, seeing as this is you, Sagittarius, but you also see the work ahead. On that note, you are great at running towards your ambitions, but too much obligation and pressure can overwhelm you at times. Not to mention, indulgence can be ever so tempting. Capricorn, Sun, Moon, and risings. So the Venus and Mars conjunction in Aquarius will transit your 2nd house. So from March 6th, you might be seeking to create change and difference when it comes to your belongings, when it comes to your finances. Perhaps the way you approach your materials changes due to your fresh ideas, or maybe you reinvent yourself when it comes to your earning potential. Perhaps you seek a new stream of income, or maybe you rebel against an old way of earning money. Quite possibly, you invest your money into something new. Perhaps this type of investment, it is just so unlike you. Or maybe you seek new insights about money and about investing. You gain fresh perspectives from people who know a thing or two about money, etc. Or perhaps you seek change when it comes to budgeting, when it comes to saving and spending and so on. Out with the old and in with the new. Then again, maybe you explore alternatives in association with your pleasures or your talents or your skills. Maybe you want to learn a new skill, or perhaps you receive recognition for your talents, or you receive some type of recognition and appreciation for your spending habits, or for certain material items that you own even. Or maybe your self-worth changes. It changes for the better. Maybe March is the month you quite literally receive financial gains or material gains, or perhaps you receive goodwill and kindness from people who truly appreciate you. However, as Venus and Mars square Uranus in your 5th house between March 19th and March 22nd, your romantic relationships may be disrupted. You might experience blow-ups within love, or you might feel quite shaky when it comes to self-love. Then again, perhaps you make breakthroughs, or quite possibly you explore alternatives when it comes to your individuality, when it comes to your self-expression, when it comes to creativity. You may explore creativity alternatives which clash with your material and financial plans. Perhaps on March 28th, during the Venus-Saturn conjunction, you consider what you have been building on so far when it comes to your financial and earning potential position. You can see where you are limited and what you would like to change. Perhaps it's good to think outside of the box, because maybe there is something you haven't tried yet. Now, at the same time, you can see where you feel blocked when it comes to your self-worth. Perhaps your earning potential is interlinked with these blockages. Maybe people who know you very well, they can help you. Or maybe it's about looking within. So looking at your inner security, looking at self-worth. And come April 4th and 5th, during the Mars-Saturn conjunction, you have an action plan in mind. You feel ready to act on the changes you want to make. You can see the journey ahead and you are willing to persist. After all, this is you. We are talking about Capricorn. You persevere and you commit yourself. Just try not to be so hard on yourself throughout the process. Aquarius, Sun, Moon, and risings. So the Venus and Mars conjunction in Aquarius will transit your first house. So from March 6th, unexpectedly, you might decide to change the entire trajectory of your life, meaning your life path suddenly changes. You might decide that something just isn't for you anymore, or you might rebel against a path that you were once on, or perhaps you are searching for something better, for something different and new. Then again, maybe it's that you explore alternatives within the path that you're currently on. You need something new to stimulate your mind and just to keep you focused. Or perhaps it's that your temperament, it changes. I mean, I know for myself, so I have an Aquarius sun and I have noticed big changes within myself over the past few years. I was actually looking at older videos that I made and I was quite chaotic in those videos, but today I feel a lot more grounded and steady. And these are changes that have been playing out within my professional life, though at the same time I would also say that I'm not as erratic as I used to be in terms of my temperament, in terms of my personality and so on. I feel a lot more settled today, though perhaps as an Aquarius you can relate in some way, shape or form, or perhaps you reinvent yourself when it comes to your physical appearance. Okay, that's another possibility. There are changes that you would like to make there. Or maybe you explore alternatives when it comes to how you approach new situations. I know I don't have an Aquarius rising, but I can be quite awkward when I approach new situations. But this is also something that I'm wanting to change. I just really want to be a lot more confident in myself within my everyday life. Again, perhaps as an Aquarius, you can relate. Quite possibly you receive recognition for how you've grown as a person during this Mars-Venus conjunction in Aquarius. Or maybe you are appreciated for how you have evolved. Perhaps March is a month that you receive financial gains due to the way you present yourself. Or perhaps you receive goodwill and kindness from people who appreciate your impact. However, as Venus and Mars square Uranus in your 4th house between March 19th and March 22nd, perhaps you experience disruptions within your family, within your home. Maybe unexpected events, they happen between family members, or maybe changes happen within your living situation. These changes can shake up your emotional security. Then again, perhaps you experience breakthroughs in association with togetherness and community at home. Maybe you explore family life alternatives which clash with your life path plans. Perhaps on March 28th, during the Venus-Saturn conjunction, you can see what limits you when it comes to your personal action. You can see what blockages are in your way, or you can identify how you limit yourself. Likewise, you realize the parts of your identity that can limit you. And so perhaps you wish to change things. And in order to do that, you think outside of the box. And whilst you might seek help from others, you also realize that these changes, they are part of your unique journey. And come April 4th and 5th, during the Mars-Saturn conjunction, you see what is required from you if you are to turn things around. You see how you can take practical and realistic action. Now, you do have the tendency of being all over the place, Aquarius. You can get these sudden bursts of energy. Essentially, you can have the tendency of just doing things on a whim. But if you can see how your actions today can benefit you in the future, you're going to commit yourself. And lastly, Pisces, Sun, Moon, and Risings. So the Venus and Mars conjunction in Aquarius will transit your 12th house. So from March 6th, you might be seeking to change or to create change when it comes to your spiritual life. Maybe you seek alternative spiritual practices, or maybe you consider new ideas when it comes to the relationship that you have with a higher power. Then again, perhaps you reinvent yourself behind the scenes. You might not want to go out, and so instead you prefer to spend some time alone. But as you are contemplating life, you feel different. You're seeking change. And when you come back out into the world again, you feel like this renewed, revitalized, reinvented person. Perhaps you change the way you recharge your batteries just altogether. Or maybe you escape in a new way. There's something new and exciting to try. Or quite possibly you rebel against old spiritual concepts and beliefs, and instead you embrace a different spiritual view. Perhaps you also gain fresh insights from movies and books and music and so on. Or maybe you see things differently when it comes to symbolism or when it comes to your dreams. Or quite possibly you change something about the way you relax. Then again, it could be that you challenge addictions. Perhaps you receive recognition also for your psychic abilities or for your intuitive insight. Or maybe you receive recognition and appreciation for your vision or for your creativity. Or maybe you feel appreciation from others rather than seeing it physically. Perhaps March is the month you receive financial gains for your guidance or for healing. Or maybe the meditation you do is received well by others. Perhaps you receive goodwill and kindness from people who really see you on a deeper level. However, as Venus and Mars square Uranus in your 3rd house between March 19th and March 22nd, your thoughts may feel disruptive, or you might feel unsettled due to your inner dialogue. Then again, it could be that you experience blow-ups when it comes to communication. These blow-ups can lead to misunderstandings between you and others, or perhaps you experience breakthroughs when it comes to communication. Or perhaps you experience an educational breakthrough. Maybe you explore short distance travel alternatives which clash with your retreating plans. Perhaps on March 28th, during the Venus-Saturn conjunction, you consider how your blind spots can limit you. Perhaps you can actually be hesitant to change at times due to fears and phobias, or maybe you get caught up in your own mind when you're alone for too long. And so perhaps you identify what is required on your part if you are to change things. Maybe it's about thinking outside of the box, or perhaps it's important to reach out to people every once in a while. Or maybe your spiritual practices, they can help you, or perhaps renewal with the support of others can help you. And come April 4th and 5th, during the Mars-Saturn conjunction, you'll see what boundaries are to be set. How committing to a plan can anchor you. How an action plan can help you establish change for the better. Now, as a Pisces, you can be very go with the flow. You are adaptable, very flexible, and you usually deal with things on your own, but you also appreciate other people's insights, especially if they resonate with you. Okay then, Cosmic Warriors, so that concludes my video all about the sudden love changes coming to you during this Venus-Mars conjunction in the sign of Aquarius. So on that note, I just want to say I hope these transits, they go well for you. And also just let us know in the comment section down below what you thought of this video today. And essentially, I really hope that you found this video to be helpful. But with all of that being said, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for subscribing. And of course, if you would like to see more videos from myself and you have not yet subscribed, then make sure that you click that subscribe button. And also give this video a like if you did like it today. And I will be back with another video very, very soon. Bye!